Well, I think that the whole idea of the task force is to bring about collaboration and communication. Obviously, if we're talking, we're realizing what the challenges are from the different perspectives and from the different disciplines. And so for my perspective as law enforcement, it is to give our perspective to everybody else, because we are not the only player or the biggest player in this opioid task force. The reality is that most of the information is coming through our medical professionals, our treatment professionals. And so for me, it is to give a perspective, but I also, to give you an idea, one of the questions that we were asked was, have we had a change in the last year? And honestly, in the jail, there really hasn't been that big a change. To give you an idea, with this last year, we had over 7,000 people booked in and out, but that's almost half what it has been in the past. Most of those are misdemeanors through collaboration with other agencies, particularly enforcement PD. We've changed some of the policies and how we do things. But as far as the opioids, we don't, even as law enforcement, we really don't even see the initial calls. Most of them end up being medical calls, or they're people that are brought to medical facilities. So we're almost, we're definitely secondary. But I also feel like one of our goals through legislation and through communication is to make people understand that in America, what we have traditionally done, if we didn't have an answer for something, we always want to throw it at law enforcement. And just like mental health or substance abuse issues or other things like this, we're not always the best person to provide that sort of care. And one of the messages I try and get out is that as a society, if we continue to treat medical issues as criminal issues, we're not going to succeed. I mean, we've seen the results of literally 50 years of the so-called war on drugs. There are people that definitely need to be in jail, but I don't think that because somebody has an abuse problem, they don't necessarily need to be in jail. That's not always the best case for them. And I think if we bring everybody to the table and are able to find other ways, through, for instance, we've been very successful with drug court here in Sebastian County with Judge Tabor and Fitzhugh. We've been, I think vet court is very much along the same lines. And Major Miller, who is frequently here at these meetings, is actually at DWI court. And so I think we're finding other ways that are more effective to deal with these issues. And as far as the opioid crisis, it's interesting, but right now that we still deal with more methamphetamine than the opioids, but the reality was that people that were overdosing were like all of us. And unfortunately, for other people that have substance abuse issues, that got the attention, which is great because we're able to raise that awareness. We're seeing things being changed nationally and at the state level, but we still have a lot of other drugs that are just as devastating to our communities. But I think from my perspective, it's to try and find a balance and try and make people realize that just because a person has a substance abuse issue doesn't mean that the best thing for us as a community or as a society is to simply lock them up. We're not helping anything. And that's what I think the task force has been effective at. We've got some legislators at it. We've got some spiritual based organizations. We've got treatment. We've got education, the schools, and I'm missing a bunch of them, and I apologize. But I think that that's the important thing about it. And I think going forward, if we can continue to get that word out, get the education out, and get people involved and realize what it is they're dealing with. I think that the rollout, with the various treatments was huge. The Narcan, which I know that most of Chief Baker's personnel and mine have had training in, and I don't even know. I should have checked with how many saves we've had in the jail from Narcan, but it's been very effective. And ultimately, if we're in public safety, the goal is to save lives. So I think we are moving that pendulum slowly, but I think we're having small incremental positive changes. And that's what it is. We're just going to have to keep working at it. We're never going to be done with it. But as long as we're making progress, I want to be involved in it, and I want to continue to do what I can here in Sebastian County. Thank you.